My name's Shane Toohey and I'm a product manager on WebEx Calling, and I wanted to record this quick vidcast to talk about our detailed call records plans for WebEx Calling. Just a quick note that this presentation will have forward-looking materials and anything in it is subject to change. So our plan for detailed call records within WebEx Calling is to allow customers, partners, and third-party integrators to leverage WebEx Calling call records to build in new functionality that better serves the needs of the WebEx Calling user base. We want to allow third parties, partners, and customers to get access to the raw data so that they can create their own integrations, their own analytics, and their own reports with it. This is going to come in a phased approach, starting with a dashboard in Control Hub, as well as exportable, schedulable reports via Control Hub and via API. We'll follow that up with a near real-time, sub 5-minute granularity CDR API. And we will then follow that up with partner and PSTN access to these APIs so that our partners and our PSTN providers can leverage full feeds of CDR APIs for their customers. The good news is that the first two steps of this phased approach are available in the beta program today, which can be signed up for through gobeta.webex.com. To talk in a little bit more detail, the detailed call history dashboard here shows various visualizations, and this is available in beta today. It also has a detailed call history view at the bottom, which gives a table of all of the calls made on the particular organization. The raw data can be exported to a CSV file using the detailed call history reports, and these can be done on a daily, weekly, monthly, or ad hoc basis, and notifications can come through via email. The fields that are currently available for each call leg in these reports are listed on the slide here. I'll let you pause now if you need to have a closer look. We're also going to be adding some more fields, such as feature access code and other pieces of data that are useful for each call leg. But enough slides, let's talk about a real API integration example. So in this example, I'm going to pretend that I'm a third party that would like to integrate with the Cisco APIs to get CDR data for particular customers. So I'm going to start off in developer.webex.com. I'm logged into my personal account here, and I'm going to create an integration. I'm going to call this test CDRs. I'm going to give it a logo. I can also give it a custom logo and a description. I'm going to set the redirect. I'm going to set the redirect URI to be just a simple localhost 8080 URL. If I was obviously creating a real application, I would use my own website here. And the scope I'm going to request here is the analytics read all scope. So I'm going to create that integration, and what that's going to do is it's going to set up that integration in the back end. And now I'm going to be able to use this integration to call APIs on behalf of customers. So I get a client ID and I get a client secret. I'm going to copy those for later on. I'm going to need them for my API calls. And I'm just going to change that URL and add it to my application. And I have a little web server running on localhost 8082. So obviously this would be the landing page for an application, and I've integrated the URL that I just got from WebEx for Developers into this web page. So I can click here to authorize this amazing new WebEx calling integration. This is going to bring me to log in with my WebEx calling credentials here. I am the customer now. I'm acting as the customer here on the right-hand side. And you can see that the application that I just created is requesting the following access from this customer. So, success. This has come back with an authorization token here, back to my callback URL or redirect URL that I gave to the integration setup process. And I'm going to copy this and save it off for later. So let's go into Postman to visualize some of these requests. So first of all, I need to craft together an API request to get an access token for that customer that I just authorized against the API. What I need to put into the body of the request is I need to put the grant type as authorization code. I need to add the client ID that I just got from developer.webex.com, and the client secret that I just got, and also that code that I just got from the authorization piece in the browser. And I also have to supply the redirect URI that I supplied to developer.webex.com. I hit send, and we come back with a response from the developer.webex.com APIs, which gives me my access token for this particular customer that just authorized me to call the APIs on their behalf, which tells me when it expires in this many seconds. And it also gives me a refresh token that I can use to refresh the authorization once the access token expires. So I'm going to jump across now and use that token that I just got to call some APIs. So one API I can call is to run a new report using webexapis.com/v1/reports. The data I need to supply to this particular API is a template ID, a start date for a report, and an end date. So I'm going to do the 10th to the 15th. And I know in this case that the template ID for the calling detailed record report is 500. I can very easily use the same credentials that I just used to get a list of the templates and confirm that. And you can see that it comes back with a list of all of the different requests that I can, templates that or reports that I can run. And there are 3 WebEx calling reports available. The calling detail call history report tells me what fields are required, and it also tells me that the ID for that report is 500. So let's run one of those reports. So I give the template ID of 500, I give a start date, and I give an end date. And then I go away and hit send, and it comes back with an ID. And that ID is going to be the ID of the report that I just ran. So I'm going to do a GET request against the API/reports, the reports API with no query parameters here. And it will give me a list of the reports that have previously been run. And in this case, if we go down to the bottom here, we can see the report that I just initiated on behalf of the customer. So we have a start date of the 10th and an end date of the 15th. That's going to run away. It'll take maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes for that to generate, depending on how much data there is in this particular report. But while I'm waiting for it, let me pull out one that I've done earlier, which is a report I ran earlier today for the 22nd of February and the 22nd of February, so a single day. I have, that report is done, and I have a URL here which will allow me to run off and pull down that report. Just check that the authorization, so it is not inheriting any authorization. So 1 second, here we go. This is the API that I need. So I can pull the report ID and the download URL, and I can get the report data by sending a request to this API endpoint. This will take a little bit of time. You can see that it's taking a few seconds, but that's just because there's quite a bit of detail in those reports. I'm pulling down a few megabytes of information here in CSV format. And there we go. That pull took about 30 seconds to pull all of the data. But what you can see here is we have all of those fields that I mentioned previously in CSV format. And I've just called that report on behalf of that customer using the integration that I set up via developer.webex.com. When we launch partner APIs, this won't be necessary for partners that are managing partners for particular organizations, but this outlines the process that the third party can go through to get API access to CDRs for users on WebEx calling. Thank you very much.